An allegory is a story with a double meaning, one primary, on the surface, and one secondary. An allegory is an extended metaphor, where objects, persons and actions in a narrative are equated with meanings outside of the narrative. The meaning of an allegory can have moral, social, religious, or political significance, often relatable to the context of the author. An allusion. A subtle or indirect reference to another thing, text, historical period, or religious belief. For example, in T.S. Eliot's The Hollow Men, there is an allusion to a celestial rose described by Dante in his Paradiso. An alliteration. An alliteration means the repetition of sounds at the start of a word into or more words in close proximity. Alliteration is a real technique used in poetry, and, in some traditions, it is a unifying feature of the verse. For the most part, you should be careful identifying alliteration. It's seldom used in prose, and when it is used in poetry, it often does not have a specific meaning, being rather a convention of the genre. Ambiguity. An ambiguity, a statement or aspect of a text that lacks a clear or singular meaning. Ambiguity in literary texts falls into four categories. Syntactic ambiguity are statements that may have multiple meanings due to the punctuation of the sentence. Semantic ambiguity are statements that could have multiple meanings because of the choice of words. Narrative ambiguity is ambiguity surrounding the plot or characters and their motives. Conceptual ambiguity is ambiguity about the concepts, themes, or ideas in the text. Ambiguity is a higher order technique that can develop tension and uncertainty throughout. An analogy is a comparison of two things for the purpose of explanation or clarification. An anecdote is an interesting or unique personal story or account. Composers use anecdotes in both fiction and non-fiction texts to develop their ideas, demonstrating elements of a character's personality or add to their world. An anomaly. An anomaly in a text is something which deviates from what is normal or expected. Anthropomorphism. An anthropomorphism is the act of attributing human qualities to a non-human figure. An apostrophe. A rhetorical technique where a character speaks to an object, quality, or idea, or discusses somebody who is absent or dead. Archetype. An archetype is a recurring idea, character, or object. Through the past few centuries of literary history, there has been a noticeable change in the narrative to the character archetype. Assonance. An assonance occurs when similar vowel sounds appear close together. This repetition can occur anywhere in the word, not only at the start. Bricolage. A bricolage is a term usually used to describe modern texts that are constructed from pre-existing material, often belonging to multiple sources and text types. A cliché. A cliché is an overused, common expression. A consonance. A consonance is a repetition of consonants throughout a sentence or phrase. A contrast. A contrast is the deliberate positioning of two or more objects, events, or characters who have different characteristics. This is often done to accentuate their unique individual qualities. Paradox, antithesis, oxymoron, juxtaposition, contrast in description are all techniques that employ contrast. A dialect. A dialect is a form of English spoken by a particular group, such as a group of people from a particular region. If your text is written in a certain dialect, you could explain why the author has chosen to adopt this language.